And welcome to General Session today. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boyce.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a presentation that we're going to hold until Commissioner O'Grady comes, but we'll start with the approval of minutes of February 9, 2017 administrative session and the minutes of February 7, February 14, 2017 general session.
So move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
The minutes have been adopted.
Great. Emergency Management Agency.
Resolution number 199-17. Sorry.
Good
Resolution
morning.
number 199-17. Resolution authorizing the acceptance of FY16 pre-disaster mitigation grant from the Ohio Emergency Management Agency for Franklin County in the amount of $56,250.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Commissioners. This resolution is to accept a pre-disaster mitigation grant, allowing us to move forward with updating our existing pre-disaster mitigation plan that was last adopted by all jurisdictions in Franklin County, I believe, in 2012. So this has been accepted by the Executive Committee for our agency, representing the 14 agencies that sit on that, representing all the jurisdictions. We've completed the paperwork with State EMA regarding grant guidance, and this will now allow us to move forward with the RFP process and the County Procurement Office to distribute an RFP to select a vendor to conduct the meetings and do the work.
Great.
I'll just say we talked about this in briefing a little bit, but I think it's healthy for the public to also hear this, that being prepared for emergency disaster management is an important thing, and it's the things that citizens often don't get to see how they were kept safe because of this planning and this kind of strategy that takes place. And so I just wanted to acknowledge I don't want to overlook the importance of this work and this kind of planning, because even just recently there was an accident on 270 near Dublin, I think, that required a lot of different agencies to be a part of it, and that coordination and that strategic alignment in many ways you don't know, but could have saved lives or prevented some other additional accidents. So I just wanted to recognize and acknowledge that planning effort and strategy.
I think that's true, and Jeff and I were talking earlier about what happened Sunday with the weather, and that was the EMA's work in getting the warning out on the tornado warning that we had Sunday, and that took a lot of coordination. And if you'd like to talk a little bit about what you've done to prepare our residents.
Sure. Thank you. The comments are much appreciated. This is one of those, the specific resolution in the pre-disaster plan is interesting in that it is what you would call a non-exciting part of the business, but is really designed to preempt impacts upon the community and allow us to do planning or bring forth projects that provide benefit ahead of a disaster to avoid the impact and create a resilient community. As far as the Sunday night or the tanker rollover and the hazardous material incident up on the northwest side, that goes into building the partnerships that allows for response to occur, and then specifically the layering of our alerting being one of the most critical elements of the agency, and as far as we have the outdoor warning system, and now in the digital world we've moved into the Alert Franklin County system, which allows people to receive text messages and emails and phone calls. And that builds on and is amazing timing that the day before we had conducted weather spotter training for about 200 people who attended at the Fawcett Center. We do that a little bit in conjunction with the National Weather Service. Ohio State is gracious and they host it and work with their emergency management staff, and Ben Gelber from Channel 4 is out there, and it's an amazing group that comes together, and then Sunday night, actually, the volunteers who do weather spotting were reporting in, various, wind conditions or hail, and it all kind of builds that safety bubble that we try to put in place over our communities.
And this is the time of year when those storms happen.
Correct. We are, I'm a little bit concerned because we had our first watches in February, which is not typical. We're heading into April, kind of starts to ramp up severe weather in Ohio, and we haven't really hit April yet, so I'm hopeful this is not indicative of the way our season is going to go, but it is cyclical, and that is something that we have to always prepare for.
Do people still have an opportunity to sign up for those text messages?
Absolutely. In fact, that is an effort that never stops. I mean, it is a little bit like the rainbow you're constantly chasing, in that we always have new people moving into the community, people moving out. In today's world, there aren't as many changing cell phone numbers or mobile device numbers. People keep those with them longer, which is nice, but the community is always changing, and in fact, one of the discussions that occurred Saturday with Ohio State was linking our system directly with Buckeye Alerts and Buckeye Alerts directly with ours, because they have a population in their little area that changes every year. So we have lots of those discussions. So that is an ongoing, will never stop. We did a social, or completed a social media push this past year, actually the past 3 weeks, where we were specifically putting, I guess, small videos, animated videos on our website and on our Facebook page to try to grab people's attention. And the next effort is always, how do we push that message out to the community? We talk about the public messaging.
Right.
Before we move on from this, though, I'm just curious, who pays for the sirens? Whose responsibility is to maintain the sirens, for example?
The sirens, we have 196 sirens located across Franklin County. Those sirens are owned by the municipal jurisdictions, or the jurisdictions where they're located.
Mm-hmm.
So as in Columbus, they have roughly 90, and then they are assessed a fee by our agency under contract, where we operate, test, and maintain them basically as an agent for each jurisdiction.
So it's a collaborative.
So it's a very collaborative effort. It is that billing goes out as part of proportionate share, that is out, and we are receiving those payments back in. So that goes into a separate fund for warning, and then so we, on a weekly basis, we test the sirens, and almost with 196. And each siren actually has 4 sirens in it.
Mm-hmm.
There is always a piece of mechanical equipment or a circuit board that's needing replaced weekly. So which is one of the reasons we test. We get those out, and then we have a vendor that goes out and services those on a weekly basis. We've had 4 this year that have been relocated because of development. As an example, Clinton Township is building a new public safety facility, or a new township facility, and they needed to relocate theirs on their property, so they contacted us. We go out and we discuss with them and advise the best location, and then we'll contact our vendor to actually handle the work. So, and then it's all activated primarily through our agency as one collaborative controller, with several public safety answering points acting as our secondary or our alternate locations if we don't have staff on site to initiate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Well, this is all pretty timely. I'm sure you guys probably had that conversation
About
from the other
Sunday.
night.
Mm-hmm.
We were at dinner at my in-laws' house on Sunday night, and there's one not far from their house.
Yeah.
And depending on where you were in their house, the siren was either louder or softer, depending on
Correct.
where you happen to be. My kids had a fun conversation about that. My children are at different ages from, well, my oldest is gone, but the 2 that were there are 13 and 9, and so the 9-year-old had a good conversation about it in the basement with my wife.
There you go.
My 13-year-old, very, very defiant, had a good conversation about it sitting at the dining room table with me, watching the storm through the dining room window, and
Correct.
he was like, it's interesting, when I'm in the kitchen it's really loud, when I'm here I can barely hear it. And I said, well, it's because it's out the back, the
Yes.
siren's out there and it's directional. And so we had this whole conversation about it, and he was very intrigued by the whole siren thing.
Great conversations to have. My kids are a little older now, but I've had those where, as a parent, you kind of smile and appreciate the fact that physics and science actually does play a role in our lives, and this click with them of going, oh, I understand now the things that we learned at school actually do
really
functionally work in society, and
They're
it's
real.
beneficial. It's also a great opportunity to discuss the fact that the sirens are the outdoor warning system. We have lots of conversations with people who, after the fact, either don't hear it inside, don't hear it in their basement, don't hear it at night and aren't woke up, and we have this discussion about it's really designed to alert you when you're out, and then we've got the Alert Franklin County, as well as, there are weather alert radios, and obviously the broadcast media plays a huge impact on this as well. I think during our budget presentation we had even talked, or an executive committee presentation where we had talked about, this is the first season where we have the indoor warning receivers that are tied to the system, which would alert whatever venue is responsible for that jurisdiction should be going off, only in their control panel, and then they can then decide what action to take. But it does make sure that people inside the buildings are aware something are going on when they're responsible for a large public gathering.
And then you have the text alerts and things like that, which is
Text,
great.
yeah.
Any chance you have the phone number handy in your brain?
The phone number for
For people to sign up.
what they need to do is it's all through our homepage.
Okay.
So if they go to the homepage, and I believe it's also available through our alertfranklincounty.org, I believe, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. But
Right.
but the short answer is through our homepage, and we continue to push that out. And one of the next steps is also to work with the community affairs person or the public information person for each of the local jurisdictions to ask them to help with our marketing and push it. And as you know, some jurisdictions are very proactive and very active in that. Some are not so much. So we're going to have those individual contacts to either help them or ask them for their assistance. And as I said to start with, it's an effort that never stops. So we will be having the same conversation, 3 years or 5 years from now,
absolutely.
regarding where we're at and what is updated. As a follow-up, the public-facing side of Sunday night, I was very pleased with, and then the internal, yesterday we met as to, I don't want to say lessons learned, because that sounds like there was problems in the systems, but those kind of things that we are always evolving to, as our community changes, as technology changes. One of the things that we've observed in today's environment is outdoor warning sirens, are just the first layer, that most people now require 2 pieces of confirming information before they will actually take an action.
Sure.
Which would be typical in that, siren goes off, most people are grabbing their mobile device or their technology and looking at a weather app to see what the radar actually looks like. And that's, you can be upset by that. You can say, no, listen to the siren and do something, but it's just a change in our society, and then how do you adjust your operations or what you're pushing to provide the most benefit?
Now, if you can just get WBNS to work with you to put the basketball game down in the bottom corner.
Yes, there was.
My brother-in-law, my family, my in-laws are all big UK. They're all UK grads, and my brother-in-law immediately put up on Facebook a big complaint about the fact that they shut down the basketball game, and my wife was reading it at the dinner table, and I said, tell the cheap guy to start streaming it live on you can get it on the daggone internet, for God's sakes. He didn't want to pay to get to stream it. Apparently, I said you can get that.
Right.
You didn't have to miss the game because they quit showing. It's public safety, for God's sake.
Yes. And
But they should put it on.
I'm
in
very
the bottom corner of the TV, at least to let people see the end of one of the best games of the season.
I'm very appreciative that my
I can
agents.
see people now like huddled up in their basement with their heads over there, looking at the TV, watching the game at the same time.
Everybody was texting because it was like right on top of. I mean, I lived right in that part of Hilliard where everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's right there." And my father-in-law goes, "Well, if it's gonna hit us, it's gonna hit us any second." Because it was. Then it went past us, and I started texting everybody that was texting me. I was texting them all back, going, "Hey, we made it. It's coming to you now.
Yeah.
Grab a glass of wine and get to the basement." You know? So, well, it was good. It was a good exercise the other night.
Thank
It was.
My son was amazed that I knew as much as I did. I said I was the chair of the E911 board, so I learned more than I thought. He called me a policy dork. I said, "Oh, I could introduce you to some policy dorks." And I was referring to all you guys. So.
Well, thank you. It was a great sequence of events. It all worked well. I'm grateful that my agency doesn't control the broadcast media and how they handle their stuff. I feel for them, and I'm sure they're discussing
You know
what
what?
to do.
It's the right thing to do. It's public safety.
They have to.
It is. I think they, you know,
We're
and
very grateful.
and we're all aware that, you know, for them, I felt for them because when
They
I think they
replayed it.
tried to do something technology-wise and it didn't work, and we all know that, you know, I mean, you can get upset, but when it doesn't work or something doesn't
Right.
happen on the technology, it's tough to undo real quick.
They replayed the game.
So-
They replayed the game. And how were they supposed to know it was going to be, I mean, the game, the best shot? Well, it was the game. It was
yes.
North Carolina and
Correct.
Kentucky, but it was, you know, 0.3 of a second the shot and all that. But still, they replayed it. So
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
We need
Oh, move for passage of Resolution 199-17.
second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
yes,
Resolution number 199-17 has been adopted.
thanks,
Thank you.
Director. All right, back to, we have a special presentation. If we could have Director Schimmer and Mr. Paxton come on up. And I'll let you guys go ahead and do the introduction.
Morning, Commissioners. James Schimmer, Director of Economic Development and Planning, joined this morning by Mark Paxson, who is our community development person. We are very pleased to present to you the National Community Development Association's Audrey Nelson Community Development Achievement Award. This is the second time in 5 years we've gotten this national award. There's only one of them, and we're very proud to have gotten it for the Franklin County Food Security Initiative that we have. And Mark, you want to say a couple words about that?
Just anytime you receive an award of this stature, it requires many contributors. I would definitely like to thank the commissioners for your progressive vision that allows such innovative programs to take place. I'd like to thank the county administration, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Janis, Ms. Long, Ms. Smith, and Mr. Telerik for their resources and guidance. Then definitely thank Mr. Schimmer, also Assistant Directors SNAP, Jordan Fraze, Matt Brown, Michael Liggett, and Jonathan Lee for their passion and their expertise that brought the project to fruition.
Thanks. Commissioners, I think this is an illustration of the good work that we've been able to do, not only in this area, but in our community development area as well. And I will remind you all that we have the highest leverage of dollars in the country currently between our CDBG. Now, we are going to have to fight to keep our CDBG dollars to make sure that we are able to do good work in the community and Franklin County specifically. I do want to thank our staff because they have done a really nice job of interpreting the things that I see and putting those into reality and being able to move forward. So we're pleased to present this to you this morning, and hopefully we can get a picture with you.
Yes, absolutely.
This is great work. And
Thank you.
thank you all in economic and community development. This is wonderful work.
So it's good to get the recognition. A couple weeks ago, when we were all in D.C., running around Capitol Hill, seeing our representatives and making the case on CDBG and home dollars. We all went to see them, but when I went to see Congresswoman Beatty. Went to see her in her office, and she was stuck in subcommittee, in housing subcommittee of her finance. She's on the housing finance committee, and so she asked if her staff could bring me over to the finance committee. So we went over to Rayburn, got over there. They brought her out of committee into the back room. We sat and we talked for a bit, and we we were just chatting, right? And so and Eric was with us, and we got in, Eric's over in, he's traveling now, but we got in the information on CDBG and home, and we told her that we leverage our dollars better than anybody in the country, and we're in the top 100 percentile, and that Franklin County is the county. And she goes, wait, stop. We're having this debate right now. Go outside, go back in and sit in the front row. So we go back in, we go around and we sit in the front row. She goes back in. She says, I'm putting you on C-SPAN. And we go back in. Well, when I get in there, we get in there and I realize we're the only ones in this room, in this entire committee hearing room, that aren't staff or a member of Congress. So clearly we stick out like a sore thumb. And there's cameras on and everybody's in there. And the chairman looks at me like, who is this guy? What's going on here? What is Congresswoman, what's the gentlewoman from Ohio doing now? And so we sit there, and Joyce then asks for her time, and she speaks, and she recognizes Franklin County as being the leader in the country, and talks about how important it is and the great work that we're doing. Because there were two other congresswomen, including one from Ohio, Congressman Davidson from Ohio, complaining that in their districts, people are using the money for the wrong reasons. And we had given her some examples of what we do here in Franklin County and what we're using the money for here in Franklin County. And she did a fantastic job, and it was covered on C-SPAN, and she did a fantastic job, did a great job of defending both CDBG and the home program in front of, to her committee. So kudos to her for doing such a great job. So I hadn't had a chance to let you know that she had done that. So.
Well, we really appreciate that, and I think it is one of the things we pride ourselves on, but our work is never done. It's going to always continue on, and the resources may get tighter, but we have some good young minds to be able to think about how we can use those in different ways. So thank you.
She's pretty great at that. We texted her. She was doing it on the fly. She was literally sitting in committee, and Eric and I were texting her the data to her phone while she was sitting there talking. So we're texting her the information so that she can speak on it as she's being called on to speak. So I mean, she's pretty amazing at the way she handles herself in those situations. So she did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's get the picture. Passing the plaque around. Get in tight. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I'll get over you again.
Rose amongst a bunch of lawyers.
Thank you so much.
Great work.
Good.
All right, Public Facilities Management. Jim?
Resolution number 200-17, resolution authorizing a contract agreement with Osborne Engineering to provide enhanced commissioning and support services associated with the planning, design, and construction of a new correctional facility as part of the Franklin County Public Safety Center in the amount of $415,885.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Goodnow, Public Facilities Management. As you're aware, we are constructing a new correctional facility which will be located at 2551 Fisher Road. An important partner in the project is the firm asked to provide enhanced commissioning support services. The new facility includes very sophisticated energy-efficient building systems, HVAC, emergency power, lighting, etc. The recommended firm will assist with the planning, design, and construction of these systems, and most importantly, test the equipment to ensure it is properly installed and is operated as designed and as efficiently as possible upon occupancy. We issued a request for proposals and are recommending that you award a contract for these professional engineering services to Osborne Engineering. The project team believes Osborne has the staff, capacity, and a resume of experiences to provide the required services. Pending any questions, we ask your approval of this action.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 200-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 200-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 201-17, resolution authorizing a settlement with Neha Din Pham for a claim for damages to his vehicle as a result of an auto accident involving a vehicle operated by an employee of Franklin County Public Facilities Management in the amount of $250.
Commissioners, one of our employees, while operating a truck equipped with a snowplow blade, accidentally damaged a vehicle driven by another party. Pending any questions, we ask your approval of this action. We'll settle the claim made by the driver and reimburse him for the $250 deductible paid when making repairs to his vehicle.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 201-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 201-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 202-17, resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement with the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency for lease space in the Franklin County Fulton Street building in the amount of $79,118.04.
Commissioners, as indicated in the preamble, the Child Support Enforcement Agency occupies space at 80 East Fulton Street. This is a renewal of our lease agreement that allows for the agency's use of that space. Pending any questions, we ask your approval of this action.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 202-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 202-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 203-17, resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a deed of gift to the Ohio History Connection for artifacts recovered during an archaeological excavation of the site now occupied by the Franklin County Common Pleas Court.
Commissioners, in 2007, this board contracted for the limited archaeological examination of property bounded by Front, Main, High, and Mound Streets, the site of the Common Pleas Courthouse. At that time, the property was occupied by 4 large surface parking lots, if you remember. After removing the asphalt in the testing area, archaeologists uncovered building foundations, brick-lined privies, and other features containing significant information about early life in Columbus. Documentary research indicates that a building on the one corner of the project was occupied by one family for at least 73 years and dated back to at least 1850. The testing process did recover numerous artifacts, including historical artifacts, prehistoric artifacts, and faunal artifacts. Say that real fast, 10 times. The artifacts represented the human use of the landscape over a period of over hundreds of years. In an effort to preserve and share the artifacts and their documented history with all the Ohio residents, we are recommending that you donate these items to the Ohio History Connection, chartered by the state of Ohio to promote a knowledge of history and archaeology. Pending any questions, we recommend your approval of this action.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 203-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 203-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Jim.
Homeland Security and Justice Programs.
Resolution number 204-17, resolution to enact a new WOSU tower use agreement for the 800 megahertz radio communication system in the amount of $75,840.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kathy Crandall, Homeland Security and Justice Programs. This resolution authorizes us to enter into an agreement for the continued use of the WOSU tower owned by the Ohio State University. This will boost our new 800 megahertz digital radio system. The agreement is a reduction over previous years, over last year of $6,320, because we could remove some of that obsolete equipment and condense space. With over 4,000 users on the county system and knowing the capability of this tower being vital to the strength of the signal that we have for the radios, I do recommend your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 204-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 204-17 has been adopted. Thank you.
All right, Human Resources.
Resolution number 205-17, resolution designating positions as unclassified and exempt from the classified service.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Young, representing Human Resources. Periodically, we update the list of unclassified employees. It was last done in September of 2015, and very little, just title changes and a few new positions. So pending any questions, we request approval of the resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 204-17.
Second.
I'm sorry, 205-17.
Yes, second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 205-17 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Purchasing.
Resolution number 206-17. Resolution authorizing a contract modification with Dunbar Arm Incorporated for armed courier services in the amount of $2,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Cuthbert representing the Purchasing Department. Commissioners, this contract modification will provide pickup of commissary funds from the Franklin County Correctional Facility 2 and deliver them to the Huntington National Bank Depository. The monthly service will cost $402.34 per month and will be effective through August 6, 2017, when this contract expires. If any questions, I recommend approval of this contract modification.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 206-17.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 206-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 207-17, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in amount of $3,453,887.61.
Commissioner, this resolution requests your approval of 113 purchase orders. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as available to be funds by the county auditor. Pending any questions, I recommend their approval.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 207-17.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 207-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
The Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 208-17, resolution authorizing a contract with Maximus Consulting Services Incorporated for the annual update to Franklin County's cost allocation plan and the data center's cost analysis and rate study in the amount of $35,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kenneth Wilson, County Administrator. The resolution before you this morning would authorize a contract with Maximus Consulting Services for the purpose of updating Franklin County's cost allocation plan to recover indirect costs associated with federally grant-supported programs in 2016 that will be paid back to the general fund in 2018, as well as updating the data center's cost analysis and rate study. The contract amount proposed for consideration is consistent with the amount in last year's agreement of $35,500. The amount under the cost plan for general county functions is $19,500, while the data center's portion of this proposed contract is $16,000. Last year's cost allocation plan identified $4 million in indirect costs that will be invoiced back to the general fund in 2017, while the data center's cost analysis and rate study identified $1.5 million in chargebacks. Pending any questions, I would recommend approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 208-17.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 208-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 209-17, resolution authorizing appropriation adjustments in the Risk Management Fund for the settlements in State XRL Almond Bates versus Public Employee Retirement Board.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize a supplemental appropriation in amount of $2 million within the Risk Management Fund related to payments associated with a decision last year by the Ohio Supreme Court. That decision mandated service credit in the Ohio Public Employees Retirement System for current and former employees of the nonprofit Franklin County Public Defender's Office hired between 1985 and 1992. The appropriations will be supported by reimbursement to be received from the City of Columbus for employees of the municipal unit. Because a memorandum of understanding is required between the city and the county in order to process the reimbursement, this resolution would also request your permission for me as county administrator to enter into such an agreement. As background, there were 254 employees hired by the nonprofit Franklin County Public Defender's Office between 1985 and 92. And the amount of reimbursement expected from the City of Columbus pending a memorandum of understanding is approximately $2.7 million. I would like to also thank the prosecutor's office, Nick Soulis, that's been on a journey as it relates to this case, Mallory too, as is known.
It has definitely been a journey to get to this settlement.
Pending any questions, I would recommend passage.
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 209-17.
Second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 209-17 has been adopted. Resolution number 210-17, resolution approving policy guidelines for requesting budget adjustments and fund transfers.
Commissioners, this resolution would authorize an update to policy guidelines for requesting budget amendments and fund transfers that were originally approved in 2005. Resolutions that require change in appropriations or transfer of cash between funds are prepared by the Office of Management Budget, or OMB, for presentation to the Board of Commissioners at General Session. The guidelines include information that agencies should include as part of their request to OMB, factors that OMB will consider as part of their review, and the time frame for the approval process. The updates primarily eliminate reference to out-of-date language and unnecessary details in order to align the policy with current practices adopted by the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution also would authorize the OMB Director, upon my approval, to make future updates to this policy as required. Our Office of Management and Budget has seen to streamline the process and make a number of improvements that were made when the prior OMB Director was in charge, myself. So in the name of continuous improvement, this resolution is here before you today.
That was in 2005, wasn't it, when you came here?
If there are no comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 210-17.
I will second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady? Yes. Resolution number 210-17 has been adopted.
Continuous improvement is good.
Yes. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself, my ego.
Resolution number 211-17, resolution authorizing an agreement with ISOV Incorporated for the acquisition of a time and attendance system in the amount of $47,517.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adam Lukaup, representing the Board of Commissioners. This resolution authorizes the County Administrator to enter into an agreement with iSolved for a timekeeping system that will enable agencies to track time electronically. This will replace manual paper processes for timekeeping and leave requests. Pending any questions, I recommend your approval of this resolution.
When would this get implemented?
This will be a phased rollout among the agencies that are participating, and it'll start as soon as 2 weeks to start beginning the process. So.
Great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for passage of Resolution 211-17.
I will second.
Moved and second in voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 211-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 212-17, resolution authorizing the approval of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act Plan for the South Central Ohio region.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy Administrator. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, was passed in 2014 and seeks to align and continuously improve workforce, education, and economic development systems to effectively address the employment and skill needs of workers, job seekers, and employers. Local Area 11 is the geographic part of the state which includes Franklin County and serves as the jurisdiction for the administration of the workforce development activities through this workforce system. And the state of Ohio is requiring that local Area 11 enter into a workforce plan. This workforce plan describes the regional economic and workforce conditions, identifies regional workforce partners, and outlines workforce strategies and programs for the region. Pending any questions, this resolution would approve the attached WIOA plan. And should you have any further questions, Shirley Constantino is in the audience as well.
Well, does Shirley want to speak?
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. We are the Workforce Development Board for Workforce Area 11. We will be joining at the state's directive with Workforce Area 20, which includes Fairfield, Pickaway, Hocking, Ross, and Benton counties. They may not be the most logical counties that we would be combined with, but they are the counties that we have been assigned to. We will work together to develop strategies that work for the region rather than just for individual counties. We're very fortunate. We have 59 university campuses in our region. Some areas are not so fortunate. Both workforce areas are very willing to work together. We are willing to sit down together, strategize together, develop policies together so that we can have services not only for job seekers but for the businesses. It's important that the businesses are treated the same within the region, not by county.
Is this then requiring the board to change and be a regional board?
No, it does not. We are still a designated workforce area, but WIOA required that planning regions be developed, and the governor was responsible for developing those planning regions.
Right. So the board doesn't
So we will
change
still have
from-
two boards, but we will try to work together. We will have some joint meetings. We've had joint strategy meetings, and we will continue to have those. But we will be two separate boards.
Okay.
I had the opportunity of participating in a meeting, I think it was last week sometime, with some folks from Dublin City Council and Washington Township in that region. And a lot of the conversation was about economic development connected to workforce development, connected to the job poaching that occurs often with cities that are adjacent to one another. And this is, I got to read through some of the plan last night, and there's a very logical, even though Area 20 isn't completely logical, in some ways it is, because when you look at the region and who flows in and out of work every day in Central Ohio, you know, there are a lot of, based on your report, there are a lot of counties that contribute to that transit
Most definitely,
employment scenario. And so just in that conversation with Dublin City Council members in Washington Township, I know that everyone's beginning to think about how we can collaboratively work together to ensure that the region is strong and that we're not competing with one another, and we're not and we're ensuring that those 136,000 college students that you mentioned in your report have a place to go when they graduate and stay here, most importantly.
With those 59 colleges and universities, I think it makes great sense to have this be that region.
And the other advantage, I think you mentioned economic development. Both workforce development boards have recently changed their executive director or president and CEO, and in both cases, both of those new directors have an economic development background.
Right, which is great and very important. As we get into this, will you be coordinating activities with Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission?
Yes.
Because there you have all these counties.
Absolutely.
Many of the counties.
They will be one of the organizations that we need to partner with.
Because they've been already networking on a lot of other issues, like infrastructure and all kinds of other issues that cross jurisdictions naturally, and it would make a lot of sense to have them in the loop on a lot of this.
Yes, they are identified as one of the partner organizations that we will need to
That's terrific.
connect with.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for passage of 212-17.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 212-17 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley.
So we're going to move to go into executive session. Should we do journalizations first? So Antoine, are there any journalizations?
We have two from the Economic Development and Planning Department. Case number ANX-05-17, a regular annexation petition ANX-05-17 was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on March 15, 2017. The petition is requesting to annex .47 acres from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on May 23, 2017. Site number 951 Doherty Road, PID number 241000073. Also from SWACO for contiguous vertical expansion PTI application in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code Section 3734.05 A2D. The Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio is submitting a copy of the public notice for an applicant's meeting related to the 2A permit to install application for the contiguous and vertical expansion of the existing Franklin County sanitary landfill. The public notice was published on March 9, 2017 in the Communicator News. As required, the public notice is being submitted to you within 5 days of publication. The public notice was also published in the Columbus Dispatch and Columbus Post on March 2, 2017, and a separate letter dated March 6 was submitted to you with that public notice. Please contact me at 614-871-5100 if you have any questions. From Ty Marsh, Executive Director.
Okay.
In resolution number 213-17, executive session to discuss county property matters.
I move to convene into executive session for the purpose of discussing the purchase of the property for public purpose.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 213-17 has been adopted.
So we will adjourn into executive session in the East Conference Room, and then we will come back to exit into this room to exit executive session. Hey,